Imagine falling into the ocean. Me personally, I can't swim very well, so this is detrimental for me, lol. But for you, maybe it would feel familiar. Cool water, the sensation of movement, light still visible above you. For a brief moment, nothing feels immediately dangerous. But the ocean is not uniform. It changes rapidly with depth. And as you descend, the environment transforms in ways the human body was never designed to survive. What happens next depends entirely on how deep you go. But no matter the scenario, the ocean does not forgive mistakes. At the surface, your body still functions normally. Sunlight penetrates the water. Oxygen is accessible. Pressure feels unchanged. Sound carries farther than on land, creating the illusion of space and calm. At this level, panic is the greatest danger. Panic accelerates breathing, wastes energy, and overwhelms judgment. As you descend just a few meters, buoyancy shifts. Your lungs compress slightly. Movement becomes harder. Light begins to distort. Colors fade first. Reds disappear, then oranges. Even at shallow depths, your vision starts to change. At around 30 meters, pressure becomes noticeable. Your lungs shrink to a fraction of their normal volume. Without specialized breathing equipment, holding your breath becomes physically impossible. The urge to inhale becomes overwhelming. If you inhale water, drowning begins quickly. Drowning itself is not instant. It is a sequence of involuntary reactions. Water enters the airway. The body struggles violently. Panic surges. Eventually, the reflex to breathe overrides reason. Water fills the lungs. Oxygen disappears. Consciousness fades. This process can take minutes, but it feels far longer. But let's imagine something else. Imagine you are not struggling. Imagine you continue to descend. Beyond 60 meters, pressure increases dramatically. Every 10 meters adds another atmosphere pressing inward on your body. Air spaces collapse further. Sinuses compress. Eardrums rupture if pressure cannot equalize. Pain becomes intense, then strangely dull as nerves fail. At around 100 meters, sunlight no longer reaches you meaningfully. You are entering the twilight zone of the ocean. Shapes blur. Motion becomes harder to track. The environment feels vast but empty. This is where survival diverges sharply from possibility. Your body cannot function here without protection. Blood gases change behavior. Nitrogen dissolves rapidly into tissues. If ascent happens too quickly, nitrogen forms bubbles inside the bloodstream, blocking circulation. This is known as decompression sickness. It can cause paralysis, stroke, or instant death. Even without ascent, the body begins to fail. Oxygen deprivation accelerates. Thinking becomes disordered. Time perception distorts. Vision narrows. Judgment disappears. Hallucinations may begin as the brain struggles to remain active. Deeper still, at several hundred meters, pressure becomes lethal to unprotected human tissue. The chest cavity collapses. Air is forced out completely. Organs compress. Blood shifts violently. Structural failure occurs not explosively but silently as tissue yields to relentless force. At this depth, survival is impossible. Not because of lack of oxygen alone, but because the body cannot maintain its form. The ocean does not crush suddenly. It overwhelms gradually, then completely. Beyond 1,000 meters, you reach the deep sea proper. This region is permanently dark. Temperatures hover just above freezing. Pressure exceeds anything humans can tolerate. The only life here survives through immense adaptation. Creatures in this zone do not resemble surface animals. Many lack eyes, some glow. Others are translucent, gelatinous, or skeletal in appearance. Their bodies are built to equalize pressure, not resist it. Without rigid air-filled spaces, they do not collapse. Humans full of air do. The idea that something might watch you here is unsettling but irrelevant. The environment itself is the threat. There is no dramatic chase, no attack required. The ocean ends the encounter on its own terms. At extreme depths, such as the Mariana Trench, pressure reaches over 1,000 times what the body experiences at sea level. Even steel struggles. Submersibles are built as nearly perfect spheres because that is the only shape that distributes pressure evenly. A human form cannot do this. Time also behaves differently. In total darkness, without reference points, seconds lose meaning. Consciousness fades long before physical destruction finishes. The brain shuts down as resources disappear. One common myth is that deep-sea creatures are aggressive predators waiting to attack anything that enters their domain. In reality, most creatures conserve energy. They move slowly. Encounters are rare. The danger is not teeth or claws, but physics. The ocean is not hostile in an emotional sense. It is indifferent. It does not recognize life the way land does. It obeys pressure, temperature, and chemistry, not fear. There is also a psychological layer to this scenario. Humans are land mammals. Our brains evolved in open air, bright light, and breathable space. Darkness, pressure, and isolation activate primal fear circuits. Even imagining descent triggers unease. This reaction is not weakness, it is biological warning. This is why the deep ocean feels more frightening than space to many people. Space is empty. The ocean feels alive, heavy, and enclosing. In space, absence dominates. In the ocean, presence does. Yet professionals descend safely every day inside protective vessels. Technology allows us to briefly visit these extreme environments. Even then, observation is limited. Lights illuminate only a few meters. Everything beyond remains unseen. This raises an unsettling truth. Most of the ocean has never been seen by human eyes. If you fall into the deep ocean, you are entering a world that does not notice you, does not need you, and does not accommodate you. Your presence is temporary. The environment is eternal. The deep ocean has existed for hundreds of millions of years before humans. It will likely exist long after. It follows rules older than civilization. What happens if you fall into the deep ocean is not a story of drama or struggle. It is a lesson in scale. A reminder that the planet contains environments far beyond human limits. Not every frontier is meant to be crossed by the body. Some are meant only to be observed briefly from a distance. There is another version of this scenario worth considering. Not a sudden fall, not panic, but a slow, gradual descent into the deep ocean. Because the deeper reality is not how fast the ocean kills you, but how precisely it reveals the limits of being human. Imagine sinking slowly. The surface grows distant. Light scatters and bends above you. The sounds you hear become muffled, distorted, stretched into something unfamiliar. Your body is still functioning, but every instinct is signaling something is wrong. The pressure is not yet painful, but it is present, constant, unyielding. As you descend, buoyancy betrays you. Movement requires effort. Each kick costs energy. Breathing feels heavier, not because oxygen is gone, but because your body senses confinement. Your heart begins to race, not from exertion, but from warning. The brain is excellent at detecting environments it does not belong in. At moderate depth, vision becomes unreliable. Light no longer behaves the way it does at the surface. Objects appear closer than they are. Distance becomes impossible to judge. Depth perception fails. This is critical because the brain relies on visual stability to maintain calm. When perception destabilizes, anxiety accelerates. Pressure now alters physiology in subtle but devastating ways. Gases inside your body compress. Blood distribution shifts. The ribcage begins to resist movement. Breathing transitions from automatic to deliberate. Every inhale feels incomplete. The body begins consuming oxygen faster to compensate. Your ears experience intense discomfort. Pressure inside cannot equalize fast enough. Pain increases sharply, then abruptly stops as tissues rupture. Silence becomes absolute. At this point, panic is no longer psychological, it is neurological. The brainstem triggers survival reflexes beyond conscious thought. Muscles tense. Movements become erratic. Decision-making collapses. If drowning occurs here, it is worsened by depth. Cold accelerates muscle failure. Water entering the lungs disrupts gas exchange instantly. Consciousness fades unevenly. Moments stretch, sensation fragments. But suppose you keep descending without struggling. Pressure now dominates every biological process. Your lungs collapse nearly flat. Air forced out violently reduces buoyancy further, causing faster sinking. Blood vessels compress. Circulation becomes chaotic. Oxygen delivery fails. The brain begins shutting down non-essential functions. Thought becomes disorganized. Memory retrieval fails. Language disappears. Identity fades long before physical death. This is an important point. Conscious awareness does not vanish suddenly. It dissolves. Your body reaches depths where survival is no longer a factor. It becomes a question of structure. Bones compress, organs deform. Soft tissue adapts briefly, then fails. This is not an explosion. It is compression to the point of impossibility. At deep sea levels, the environment does not react to your presence. No bubbles rise meaningfully. No sound carries. Motion is slow and dampened. The ocean absorbs energy efficiently. Nothing is dramatic. Creatures here exist in a world without urgency. Many have no need for speed. They drift, they wait, they conserve. Their metabolism reflects scarcity. They are not watching you. They are surviving conditions you cannot. Bioluminescence flickers briefly in the darkness. Not as a spectacle, but as communication. Signals for warning, mating, or confusion. Light is used sparingly. Energy is precious. At extreme depths, even the concept of down becomes meaningless. Pressure is omnidirectional. There is no orientation. The brain cannot process space without reference points. Sensory deprivation becomes complete. The mind cannot survive here even if the body somehow could. This is where comparisons to space become misleading. In space, the danger is absence. In the deep ocean, danger is presence. Mass, weight, force, contact. The ocean presses inward with certainty. It does not allow improvisation. It does not adjust. It demands compliance to physics, or it eliminates the intruder. Humans sometimes imagine the deep sea as something to conquer. In reality, it is something to negotiate with, temporarily next to you through technology. Even then, we are visitors who cannot linger. Submersibles descend slowly because speed increases risk exponentially. Windows are small because thickness must resist pressure. Lights are limited because distance does not matter. Illumination only reveals how little can be seen. Communication from deep-sea vehicles is delayed. Signals travel poorly. In emergencies, help is distant, sometimes non-existent. This reality shapes how exploration happens. Cautiously, infrequently, and at great cost. Even experienced explorers report psychological strain. Claustrophobia, isolation, awareness of fragility. The knowledge that a single structural failure ends everything instantly. This is why the deep ocean remains mostly unexplored. Not due to lack of curiosity, but due to respect. What happens if you fall into the deep ocean is ultimately this. The environment removes every advantage you evolved with. Air, light, warmth, space, control. All are stripped away systematically. The ocean does not feel dangerous because it is violent. It feels dangerous because it is correct. It operates exactly as it should. And that is what makes it unsettling. The deep ocean does not acknowledge human presence as special. It does not reward bravery. It does not punish ignorance. It simply exists according to laws older than humanity. Most environments on Earth allow some degree of adaptation. The deep ocean does not. It marks a boundary. Understanding this is not meant to inspire fear. It is meant to inspire awe. The planet contains places where life thrives beyond imagination, and places where human life ends almost instantly. That contrast is what makes Earth extraordinary. And when you realize that most of this world lies beneath the waves, unseen and untouched, it changes how small the human domain truly is. If this journey helped you understand the true reality of the deep ocean, consider subscribing, liking the video, and turning on notifications for future Explainified deep dives. Some places are not meant to be entered. They are meant to remind us where we end. If this episode of Explainify Into the Deep Ocean helped you understand the true scale of Earth's most extreme environment, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future Explainified deep dives. Thanks for watching, and remember, some boundaries exist not to be conquered but to be respected. Also, don't drown.